Hi, okay, today we're going to start our unit on perspective. We're going to start with 1-point perspective and then move on from there. You need to gather up a couple of items. You need a very sharp pencil, an eraser, and a ruler. If you don't have a ruler around, a good old straight edge may work, like a piece of cardboard cut into a strip or the side of a folder. The side of a credit card or debit card would work. That could be kind of short depending on the size of your paper, but you do need something that you could use as a straight edge or ruler. Okay, we're going to go over 1-point perspective. 1-point perspective meaning things that are drawn going to what's called a one vanishing point. A couple terms I want to go over with you. You can call these vocabulary words if you'd like, and to take notes would be a trait of being a good student. So the first word is horizontal line. I know this sounds kind of silly, but you'd be surprised. To review these terms, it would probably be a good idea for you. A horizontal line is a line traveling side to side on your paper, like the horizon. So there's your horizontal line. Then you would have what's called a vertical line. That's a line that travels up and down on your paper. So going from the top of your page to the bottom. A horizon line, very similar to horizontal line, as I mentioned before, is the place where the land and the sky meet. So where your land and your sky touch is your horizon, kind of like the sun going over the horizon. Some teachers call this an eye level line. The only difference is your eye level line moves with you. It's the height at which the viewer sees the scene. It moves with you when you move. A horizon doesn't necessarily move, but your eye level line does. As you get up and you move around the room, you sometimes see the top of objects or the underside of objects, depending on how they're placed in your environment. Or maybe they're directly on your eye level line where you cannot see the top of them or the bottom of them. So those are some terms that we're going to be, talking about. Here's an example of eye level line. And a piece of fruit, an apple or an orange, if it is straight on your eye level, you wouldn't see the top or the bottom of it. If something goes above your eye level, like floating up in space, you'd see the bottom of it. And something going below your eye level, you would then see the top of it, like the top of a table, usually. Okay? Then another term you might need to know is vanishing point. That is the point in space where all receding lines appear to meet. Now, on the right, you have some perspective or some boxes drawn in perspective, and right here in the center is that vanishing point. If I erase all of these other extra lines here on that dot, that vanishing point, sometimes, like I said, they may not be in your drawing. Like you can erase it. It doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that it was used. And like I said, they appear to meet. If you're a train conductor and you're driving down this train track, it looks like these two lines on the sides meet. It appears to touch, but it really doesn't. There's no dot there. Like as I go down the track, these lines continue to be parallel. The receding lines that I speak of are imaginary lines going back in space to that vanishing point. Kind of like the edges of this table, they recede back in space to the dot. So here, the example of the perspective drawing where the lines go back in space to the dot. Okay? So now we're going to flip over to my camera, and here I have my paper and a pencil and my straight edge. And I do have a ruler or a eraser as well. I happen to have an eraser cap. You can use any old eraser, that doesn't matter. So pull some white papers out of a sketchbook or some white drawing paper that was provided to you or some paper that you purchased. We don't want to use lined paper. That can be very distracting. Okay? So let's start with a cube drawn in 1-point perspective, and we're going to draw it below our eye level line. So remember, in the vocabulary words mentioned above, your eye level line is the line straight out from your eyes. So we're going to draw ourselves a line, and we're going to call this our eye level line. I'm going to put a vanishing point in the middle of my line. So this is my eye level line. Some art teachers call them horizon lines. And there is my vanishing point. Now I'm going to draw myself a square down here. Okay? On my paper, it is approximately the size of a quarter. So I'm going to take my straight edge and I'm going to draw myself a square. Draw along with me. you're watching this video and you can pause at any time if you feel like that I'm going too fast. You can pause, you can rewind, it's not a problem. So the square that I just drew, notice it's not perfect, it's far from perfect, but it's about the size of a quarter. So mine's about, I don't know, an inch by an inch by an inch. And I left space all around it, okay? So now, when I draw perspective, the corners of this square are going to go back into space so that it appears to make it into a cube. I like to think of this like a clock. So if my ruler is the hands of a clock, and I put my ruler or my straight edge on that little dot, the corner of it, my ruler or straight edge can move. Tick, 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 okay? Like the hands of a clock going around. However, as it bumps into the shape that you drew, okay, you're going to draw a line going from the corner of that shape to the vanishing point. So if you've noticed, I kind of keep this here on this dot and I pivot it. That's how I draw. And then where it lines up against something, that's when I draw my line. Okay? And so I keep this on this dot, and again, I slide it to another corner, draw a line, and then my third corner, and I draw a line. Okay? So now I have my 3 receding lines drawn to my vanishing point. And students sometimes ask me, why do I not draw one from this square? Well, I could, but we're going to make our cubes opaque, not see-through, not like an ice cube. And so we don't necessarily need to draw a line from this corner. You could, okay, if you'd like to think of it as being like a dashed line or an imaginary line going through it, all right, it still exists. Now, the next part of this, we're going to give some depth to our cube, okay? So what we're going to do is lay parallel lines vertically. We have a vertical line straight up and down here on the side of this cube, right? So I'm going to lay my straight edge right on the side of that cube, and I'm going to slide it back in space and draw myself another vertical line. You see what I did? So these 2 lines are parallel. They are perfectly straight up and down. My ruler did not bend in any way, okay? It's straight up and down. So I kind of slid it to the right, and I drew a line. Then I'm going to do the same from this cube, and I'm going to go straight up. And I'm going to draw another parallel line. So these 2 lines are parallel. These 2 lines are parallel. I think you would call this perpendicular, this L shape. So if you think about it, I've got an L shape here on the side of the cube and an L shape here on the side of the cube. Now I pressed pretty heavy so that it would show up under this camera. When you draw all of your cubes in perspective, don't press so hard. You know, don't make it hard on yourself, because what you do need to do is erase all of this extra. Okay? So all of that extra disappears, and all you see is your pretty little cube. So the receding lines, remember, like on the table, are imaginary. So these receding lines are imaginary lines. We really don't want to see them. So don't press so hard. Okay? Let's do another one. So I'm going to scooch my paper up. Now I'm going to draw one above my eye level line. So, same thing. Drawing myself an eye level line. Let's do it over here, above our eye level line. So we've got a vanishing point. Same thing. Draw myself a square. I guess mine's a rectangle. Not exactly perfectly square. Okay? And then I've got my ruler on this little dot. And then I do the tick, 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 slide. I hold my pencil on that dot again. Tick, 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 slide. Pencil, tick, 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 slide. You kind of get the hang of it after a while. Then it becomes second nature, and you don't have to like check back and forth to each dot. But it is important that you're constantly checking your ruler. Is it on the dot? Is it on the corner? Is it on the dot? Is it on the corner? And then same thing, the edge of my cube, slide it down, draw a line. And then the side of my cube, slide it over, draw a line. Erase the extra. So now I have a cube below my eye level line, above my eye level line. Oh no, what if it's on the eye level line? What if you have a cube sitting right in front of your eyes on your eye level line? What would that look like? Here's my eye level line. Not very straight. Okay? Here's my vanishing point. What if my cube is right on the eye level line? Could that happen? Sure. I could draw a cube right on my eye level line. Okay? Now, if it's right over my vanishing point, all I would do is see a square, but I kind of drew it over to the side. So I would have some lines going like this, and then take this side and push it back. So now I have a cube on my eye level line. Let me clean this up a little bit. Didn't do a very good job on this one. Okay? So there's my cube right on the eye level line. So it kind of looks like a building sitting in the road, right? Or sitting on land. That is correct as well. What if my boxes, if you notice on these cubes, I kind of drew, here's the dot, the vanishing point. I drew it over to the left on this one. And here on this one, I drew it over to the right. What if it's right underneath it or right above it? So let's give us some more scenarios here. Let's draw an eye level line. Okay? And here's my dot. And I'm going to draw a cube right below that eye level. Doo-doo-doo. So there's my little square. And I'm going to go to my dot. And then the top of it shows. So students ask me sometimes, is it okay to sometimes only see one side of a cube? Yeah. This is right under my vanishing point, so I'm only going to see that one side. It's just the same as here. I'm only seeing one side. So sometimes there are possibilities that you'll only see a front and a side of a cube. You won't always see a front, a side, and a top, or a front, a side, and a bottom. Okay? Sometimes you'll only see the front and one other side. That is completely normal. Okay, so in real time, here we go, a clean piece of paper. What would I like you to do? Let's see how many squares and or cubes I can fit on this piece of paper. So, dot in the middle. Ready? We're going to draw squares everywhere. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do. You like my sound? My music? There's cube number 1. Erase the extra. That's not very straight. I'm going to fix that. Okay, cube number 1. Let's start another one. Let's go long. I would like you to take out a piece of paper out of your sketchbook or a blank white piece of paper, and I would like you to fill up your page with 25 cubes. There's 2. 25 cubes. Sometimes they will overlap each other. Sometimes they will run into each other. Okay? If you can do more, awesome. Do more. Fill your page. Who can do the most? There's 3. Okay? Keep going, going, going. I'm going to draw one over here and you can see what it would look like if I run into this cube here. You have to excuse my cubes sometimes. I'm kind of a contortionist. You have no idea. I'm sitting kind of sideways. Some of these seem kind of lopsided. Okay? All right, so here, I'm going to run into this cube. Put on the dot, and I'm going to go back. I'm not going to draw the lines through my cube. That would confuse me. What happens is, as you get better at this, you'll learn to not have to draw your lines all the way. Because you know what? You're erasing all that extra anyway, right? So the side goes back, top goes up, erase the extra. Okay, now I got 4. Oh my goodness, 25? How long is it going to take you to fill your paper with 25 cubes? Do-do-do. Ooh, this one's skinny at the bottom. That's cool. Here's another one. Going. Okay? So you get the point. Ha, funny. Vanishing point. 25 cubes. Fill your paper up with 25 cubes. Snap a picture of it. Put it up on Schoology for me. Thanks.